The question I'm most frequently asked about tractors is about buying them. You want to know what to look for and what to inspect so that you can buy with confidence. I've created a buyer's guide video, so at the end you will have confidence to buy your own used tractor. First, let's discuss a visual inspection. These are things that I subconsciously go through in my mind, but I've broken them down into a checklist of 6 different things that you can visually look at and inspect on the tractor. The first thing would be tires. On this Farmall Cub, I have an example of really good used tires. There's no weather cracking or dry rotting, and they still have plenty of tread on them. They hold air well. That's what we want to see on a rear tire. However, this Ford 600 would be an example of poor tires. You can see how cracked they are along here. They're very, very dry rotted and cracked. These tires aren't going to last much longer. They do hold air now, so if I was going to buy this tractor and think about using it, I'd realize that they'll last me for a short period of time, but not longevity. While this wouldn't scare me away from buying the tractor, the price needs to reflect the condition of the tires. Tires are easily replaceable. You can often find good used tires, or you can buy brand new ones. These are a common size. However, they're expensive. It's not a cheap replacement if you need to replace the tires. So pay attention to the tires and keep that in mind with the offer that you're going to make on the tractor. The second thing that I like to inspect is the sheet metal. On a Farmall Cub, for example, they often are cut out sometimes when the 12-volt conversion is done. While a cut hood will never affect the mechanical operation of the tractor, if it's a tractor that you want to do a full restoration on, you're going to need to calculate the cost of replacing the hood. I also like to purchase tractors that have fenders on them just for safety reasons and for a complete look to the tractor, so that's always something to evaluate. This Moline is an example of a tractor that has a pitted hood. You can see that it's just really, really pitted. If I was going to restore this Moline and sand and do body work on this hood, it would require a whole lot more work than a hood that's in better condition like that Farmall Cub hood. The third thing I'm looking for is any leaks on the tractor. Now, these tractors, if you're buying one this old, it's probably going to leak, but it's important to know what is leaking and what would be required to stop that leak. This Massey Ferguson does have a leak here, but it's just fuel. That's something that would be very easy to repair. On contrast, let's look at how this John Deere behind me is leaking. This 3020 has a more serious leak. Down here in the rear, I see hydraulic fluid coming out of the load shaft. That's a pretty major repair that most home mechanics wouldn't want to tackle on their own. So if you see a leak like that on a tractor you're looking to purchase, calculate the cost of what that repair is going to cost you. The fourth thing to consider is the wiring harness. This 656 has many wires like this that are just hanging loose. The wiring harness is homemade. It's not a real harness. It's not something that I like to see. In addition to that, somebody has added this washer for the ignition. So the key broke off in the original ignition, and you have to get this washer in here just right in order to turn the key. It's just not something that I like to see. However, it wouldn't stop me from buying this tractor because an ignition is really simple and affordable to fix, and a wiring harness can be corrected. But if you don't have electrical experience, it's not something that you should tackle on your own. You should only tackle a wiring harness repair if you're really knowledgeable about electrical systems. The next thing I look at on an antique tractor is just the general upkeep and maintenance of the tractor. When I look at this 451, I notice that the grill's been smashed in. Over here on the side, I can tell from the filter that regular maintenance hasn't been performed on the tractor. The seat is torn. There's a pretty serious hydraulic leak on the other side. These are all indicators to me that this tractor just hasn't been maintained as well as I would like a tractor to be. I included this one in the line because it's newer, much newer than some of the other tractors that I've shown you. But I want you to think that a newer tractor doesn't always mean that it's the better choice. I would rather purchase a tractor that's 10 or 15 years older than this one that's been taken care of its whole life, rather than this one that's newer but has been abused by the owner. Now, when you're looking at a tractor and you're determining the general upkeep and maintenance, you can look at the oil filter, like I mentioned. However, that's not a surefire indicator. A dishonest seller could change the oil right before you come, or they could write different hours or date on the filter to make you believe that it's been changed more frequently. So while that is something that I look at and consider, it's not always a surefire indicator for you. You can pull the dipstick on a diesel. You're looking for antifreeze inside, so the oil will be turned gray if there's antifreeze mixed in. You can take the cap off of the radiator and look for oil inside. Of course, you take that cap off when the engine is cool, definitely not while it's hot. So take some time and just consider the general upkeep and maintenance of the tractor and include that in your decision-making process. The sixth and final thing that you want to look for is a weld or repair. You could look for a weld on the engine block. This 8N Ford has actually had a repair to the block. You can't even tell. I know that it's been repaired because my dad repaired it years ago. He did a good job, and sometimes when a block is broken and repaired, it will hold well for many years and never be an issue. But a brake can also be corrected with JB Weld, and that won't hold. So you need to inspect and evaluate if it's been broken and how it has been repaired and what you think the longevity of that repair is going to be. Also inspect the front axle for a weld. If a tractor has 3-point hitch on it, you're going to look at the 3-point arms, or if it has final drives, those can be broken from improper implement use. Inspect all of those castings on the tractor, look for damage from freezing or improper use, and evaluate the cost to make those repairs. Now, all of these buyer guide steps are included in the book that I've co-authored called the Farmall Cub Encyclopedia. And while that book is focused just on the Farmall Cub model, you can see that these buyer guides tips apply to all different makes and models of antique tractors. Also in the book, there's history, so if you are a tractor enthusiast, you'll enjoy reading all the history about the Farmall Cub model. And the repairs, while they are demonstrated on a Farmall Cub, many of those techniques apply to all of the letter series Farmall tractors. So if you are an antique tractor enthusiast, consider adding the Farmall Cub Encyclopedia to your library. You can purchase it on my website, farmtractorrepair.com/cubbook. After the visual inspection, the next thing I'll do with the seller's permission is start the tractor up and see how it runs. This is what I'm looking for initially. I want to make sure that it starts easily on its own and that when it's running, it runs smoothly without missing or smoking. When a tractor first starts, a little puff of smoke is completely normal, but not excessively smoking for the rest of the time that it's running. The second thing that I'm initially looking for is a charge, a positive charge, to show that the charging system is working. So let's go ahead and start this one up and see how it runs. This one runs good. I didn't see smoke. You did hear a little bit of a gallop, but that went away. It just needs a little fine tuning on the adjustment there. I didn't have to run it with the choke on. It just needed a little bit of choke to get started. So I like the way that this runs, and I would be happy buying a tractor with it running this way. On the contrast, let me show you what an engine will sound like if it is missing. I'm going to start up this Ford 600 so you can hear how it runs. I hope you could hear how it was missing on one cylinder. Now, when a tractor is missing, it could be something as simple as one spark plug that's bad, or it could be more serious like a valve that's stuck. So it's worth determining, taking some time to try to figure out and determine what your level of mechanical competency is, if you can repair something like that, or if you'd rather pass on that tractor and buy one that runs a little smoother. With the tractor running, now I'm going to do a little bit of driving inspection. The first thing I want to check is the clutch. So I push the pedal in. I'm just going to put it right here into first gear. I'm going to let the clutch out a little bit and make sure that it takes off smoothly without jerking like this tractor does. I'll run through all of the gears, but that's what I'm looking for, is no grinding in the gears and that it takes off smoothly without any issues in the clutch. I will also test the brakes. A little bit of play in the brakes might mean that they just need an adjustment, but if the brakes don't function at all, that's a more complex repair that I'll calculate into the cost of the tractor. I also like to test the hydraulics if a tractor is equipped with hydraulics. This one, you can see the touch control hydraulics are working as they should, which is always a good sign and something that I like to see when I start the tractor up and drive it. The steps that I've gone over in this video are general. They're broad and apply to all sorts of used tractors. However, there are other things to look for that might be specific to the tractor you're evaluating. For example, if your tractor is equipped with power steering, then of course you want to make sure that the power steering works. If you're looking at an International that has a torque amplifier, then of course shift the TA. Do those sorts of things to really thoroughly inspect the specific tractor that you're looking at. Now, if you know that you want to buy a specific model of tractor and you're wondering, is there something exactly about this model that I need to look for, you could schedule a phone call with us and we can help you with a specific model question of a tractor. Here's an example. This 175 Massey Ferguson behind me, the PTO doesn't work. That's a very common problem on 175 and 185 Massey Ferguson tractors. And that's something that if you called and said, I'm looking at buying a 175, then I would warn you that that's a pitfall of those models that you just want to be sure that you really check out on that tractor, and it might save you some grief when you're looking at a used tractor. In addition to helping you with a question like that, if you know that you have a certain amount of acres and a certain budget and you want to do these 3 chores with your tractor and you don't know what model to purchase, we can make a suggestion for you so that you can shop for a specific model of tractor in your local market and buy a tractor with confidence. So click the I in the corner, it'll take you to a link, and then you can schedule a call. When I'm ready to seal the deal, I like to ask 2 questions in closing. One is there anything that I've overlooked about the tractor that might need attention in the future? Sometimes the seller will say, oh yeah, there's this one thing I forgot to tell you, and they might tell you at that time. The second thing I like to ask for is if there's anything else included with the tractor, like equipment. When I purchased this Farmall Cub, I asked that question and the seller said, oh, there's a blade and some cultivators out in the fence row. If you can get them out, you can have them. You bet I went and got them and took them with me, and I've put them on this tractor and used them even in my own yard. I also like to ask for wheel weights or suitcase weights or a manual. Those are always nice bonuses to the tractor. Now, when you're looking at a tractor and you're evaluating it, please keep the price in mind. When you are looking at a $500 tractor, there's a big difference between that one and a $5,000 tractor or a $50,000 tractor. When you're looking at a low-price tractor, you're going to have to accept some imperfections and not be nitpicky about all those little things that might be wrong or incorrect about that tractor. I hope that these steps are helpful to you and that you now have the confidence to buy a used tractor for yourself.